Hello, I am back for our final session. It is day 2 of the Your Art Matters book launch summit, and we have the beautiful Summer with us, who used to be a member years ago, and we've just been quickly reminiscing on when Summer was a member and all the things that have happened since. So I can't wait to have the conversation properly because we've just been talking. And Summer I mentioned in the book because I'll never forget having a conversation with Summer years ago when we were going through my 7 key program, and there's a whole section on mindset, and there's a part in the 7 keys course where we talk about reframing and your relationship with money and that kind of thing. And I remember Summer coming through that program saying, I don't really need this part, it's great that it's there. I don't need it because I do yoga and I think positively and I've got this bit nailed down. And then I don't know if it was a few months later, you'll be able to recite probably more accurately than me, but I'll never forget a few months later Summer coming back and going, wow, do you know what? actually those mindset lessons, I kind of need them. And I'll never forget that happening, Summer, because you kind of reminded me how we all do that. I even still do that now, where I convince myself I'm good, I'm all right, I don't need this, I know this, I teach it, I've been teaching it for years. And then you go, actually, I do. And so I've brought Summer in, and I mentioned Summer's story in the book. And I want to unpack that today. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Summer's journey because it's just amazing and wonderful and so inspiring. So welcome, Summer.
Yay! So excited to be here. Do I just start unpacking? Do you want me to start going?
Yeah, let's start at the beginning. But also, I just want to share that Summer and I have done a few live sessions in the past, but we've not done one together for a long time. So this is a special one. And I remember you coming in actually and doing the, what was it we were doing? Blind drawing?
Yeah, still do it.
Yes.
Still be my one-line people.
Awesome. That was so amazing. I loved that session. And so, Summer, anyway, we're gonna go back to Summer's beginning. If we go back, well, you can go back as far as you like, but especially back to kind of when you found us and how you were feeling at that point. But if you want to go back a bit further and give us a bit of a scene and set the scene of how art entered your life, then go for it.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. Just so I've been jazzed up all day getting ready for you guys. So I've always been into art. So it's never been something was introduced later. Since I could hold a crayon, I was creating art. I was always encouraged to do art, and I'll get into the parental things later, but I was always encouraged to do art. I was always entering contests, doing just kind of exploring it on my own, taking art classes through school. But it wasn't like a major or anything in college. I did social work and Spanish and was really on track to do something along those lines. And I'm trying to think when I ended up falling into teaching, special education, and I hadn't created art in a long time. Just like knew I was still good at it, but like didn't really do much with it. And I quit special education teaching, not because I didn't love the kids, but because the politics with it were a little bit crazy. Won't get into that school system situation. Anyway,
yeah.
Long story short, I went to Bali for a stint and taught yoga. And I was on my moped one day and I went by this little art shop and I was like, oh, there's an art shop on this tiny island. And I went in and I bought paints. I bought a sketchbook. I bought all the things barely, I'm holding this on my shoulder, with my little bike, trying to get home. And I started painting again. And I was my soul, retrieved part of my soul and started painting. So I came home. I got certified to teach art. I started teaching art and I found you guys pretty closely after. I think it was 2019 is when I someone here was like, hey, you would really like this this United Arts Space, it was the make it the best year yet. And so I joined in on that, and I was like, yes, I'm doing this. Joined the hub, and then in Seven Keys, and that is when that's just kind of when I started making art over and over and over, and started being like, oh, okay, I could sell my art, I could do this. And then I don't know if you want me to start on the mindset thing, or like
Yeah, go for it. Yeah. So you came in on that course. So you come back to art after that break. You're loving it. So you were teaching at this point too. So you were teaching art at
Yes,
this
I was
point.
teaching
Yeah.
middle school art and the public school system, and I love teaching. But I was also like, I really want to start creating again, because that was like fueling my soul.
Yeah.
And I also so I teach yoga. I have a regular meditation practice and have for years. And so for some reason, I decided to claim immunity for this mindset section. I was like, I don't need this mindset. Like, I'm good. I have like a pretty solid inner voice, which is true. I do have a very like positive sense of self. I don't really have a lot of negative self-talk. However, I like skipped over it, and then I was like, you know what? All these people are talking about like how it's affecting them, and maybe there's something in here for me. You got in the program, you might as well just do it.
Yeah.
Well, after doing the mindset, I realized that there are certain words in my vernacular that I was taught growing up that were given specific definitions that were definitions put on me. And I started to identify with them as like part of who I was. And so the example is disorganized as one of them. And I should do a little disclaimer, like growing up, my parents were so supportive of me and put me in all the art camps. Like I had a really like non-traumatic childhood, but this mindset section essentially taught me like, you don't have to have trauma to need a mindset shift. You don't have to have some sort of crazy event or negative experience to give you something that brings you down, to create a roadblock. It can just be a definition of a word. And so growing up, both of my parents are computer programmers. And so I am not of that mindset. That's like not how my brain works. And so I drove my mother nuts by being disorganized and being a procrastinator. And I identified with this as like a weakness. And and so I think of it now, and it like makes it hurts to think about how I perceived it as a weakness. And I started to just kind of absorb it as part of my identity. But then thinking back, like once I've shifted my mindset, thinking back in that disorganized, I would start to identify with it and be like, well, I'm disorganized, so I can't do that. Or I'm disorganized, so I guess, like creating, like managing money in an art business, I'm disorganized, I can't really do that. And so in the mindset practice that I went through with Seven Keys, I realized like, okay, I do not fit into the category of organized by how my mother defines it or how my father defines it. I am differently organized than how they are. However, this, like, if we want to call it disorganized, that can be used as a strength for me in different ways. And so and same with procrastination, drove my mother nuts because I would wait till the last minute for everything. But I now have like my differently organizedness and my procrastination are now strengths for me. So I found live painting, and that is like my favorite thing ever to do now. And that's like the biggest moneymaker in my business now is live painting. I live paint at weddings. I live paint at events, and I look like a hot mess. I'm sure I have my paints everywhere. I'm just like slapping paint on, like doing whatever. But the pressure of having to do it on the spot kind of pushes that procrastination element of me so that I can be spontaneous. I can not get caught up in those perfection analysis analysis paralysis decisions. I just have to go. And it's just really beautiful that I can, have my messy setup and just be doing something on the spot. And it's something beautiful for other people. And it can be inspiring for other people as well, because I'm doing it live. So yeah, that was kind of the big mindset shift, is that these are perceived weaknesses to some people, but they can be strengths for me. And I can do whatever I want to utilize these strengths to like be my best version of myself.
Isn't that amazing? Who here can relate to that? Because I'm sure, oh my gosh, I was labeled as so many things as a youngster and growing up. And I think there's probably definitely some things that I've held on to from those labels that are holding me back right now. And in fact, I can relate so much because of the book and having dyslexia. For years, I told myself I wouldn't write the book. And even we was just saying that I announced it 3 years ago, and I announced it, but still didn't believe I would actually do it because of like what you've just described, really. The fact that there was this label, and then that label had come with this kind of barrier that it's not going to happen, and yeah, you just don't realize how much sometimes we've defined words, and they can control us.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's people listening in now that maybe just take a little step back and just think and just be aware if there's anything that is holding you back. Do you recall how you identified it? Was it going through the steps in the course that brought it to light, or was there something that just made you in the moment go, oh my gosh, this is one of the things that's holding me back?
It was when I was going through the course, and I remember I started doing the mindset exercises, and forgive me for not remembering exactly, but I do have a 2-year-old and 1-year-old now. So my brain's kind of like not always there. But I do remember the like aha moment was during one of the lives. And I do remember like sitting at my desk with you right there, and you were talking, and we were talking about mindset. And I remember just being like, like writing down like differently organized, like just kind of having that moment, and then just unpacking that, like, oh my God. And then from there, I think it kind of turned into, I started attracting experiences that would allow me to use the disorganization and procrastination as a strength, because it was very shortly after that I applied to a live painting. Like it was like a street art festival, and you were given 2 hours to paint live, and it was a competition. It was so shortly after that realization that became an opportunity. And that was my first one I did. And then, you just start thinking, when you start thinking differently and you start feeling that empowerment of what you can do, those opportunities start to come. You're bringing in that energy. And I think that just like kicked it off, because it's been a snowball ever since.
Wow. I want to talk about the snowball, but before we do, I just want to kind of set the scene for as you were taking the course and you were teaching yoga, you were teaching art. What was art for you personally looking like at that point? Were you selling it? Were you creating a particular type of art? What was going on at that point for you?
That was, I was really focused on my one-line art, like when I did end up doing the workshop for you guys. And I still do that a little bit, but it was very much for me just starting to get my expression out there. I was creating a lot of art to enter into like exhibitions, and I would get some things in exhibitions. I was just kind of dabbling, because I was re-entering a world that I had kind of left behind for a while. So the intention was to start selling, but I really didn't know where to start. And that was why I joined too, because I was like, oh, I can get some direction on how to start selling. So, like you had in the groups talking about like putting yourself out there for exhibitions. So I started entering into exhibitions, just started talking about my art, created an art account on Instagram. So it was kind of following the steps that you were providing us to figure it out because I didn't know what I was doing. And then I got pregnant and I was like, well, now I really don't know what I'm going to do. So
You'll never forget. Yes, I was like,
one, yeah.
pregnant now.
Yeah.
Oh, we were all following the pregnancy. It was so lovely. Actually, do you mind holding your pad up because people might not know what the the one line art that? Yeah, look at this.
So here, there we go. So it's, where am I trying to do? So typically it's like, and that one's not so much. I'm trying to figure out like, there we go. It's backwards. There we go. So it typically goes like one line. So I'll draw, and then it will, it never ends. I never pick up my pen.
Yeah. You just keep going, and someone did a wonderful demo with us.
There's any other ones in here. So I do it every once in a while now. Some people are like, bring it back. I'm like, so it's just, yeah.
And so you were doing that kind of artwork, exhibiting that kind of artwork, and then you fell pregnant. Had you done the live painting at this point? Had you done any?
My first live painting was when I was like, I remember because I was nauseous. I was like 12 weeks pregnant. It was like I wasn't like visible to anyone, but that was my very first live painting, that street art festival. I was pregnant.
And how did you get into that? How did you come across that live art painting?
Literally, it just showed up on, I think it was on Instagram or Facebook, and it's a live painting competition, like 2 hours, one winner. And I was like, guess I should, that sounds fun. Like, that sounds like, I like the pressure, so might as well give it a whirl. So I applied and got in, and really it's been history ever since. Cause I like love that like level of like slight discomfort where I'm like, oh, am I going to finish? I don't know. But you have like, especially when it's at an event, like if there's music and people, I just really like, I am energized by that. So it's fun. It's really fun.
And talk us through the process of that first live painting. What was it? Like a big group of you? There's an audience. Can you talk us through what it was?
Yeah. So it was in May. So it was really nice weather. It was outside, and there were 5 artists that were selected, and we all had, I actually think I still have it back there. We all had this big canvas, I think like 30 by 40 inches. And you had 2 hours. They had some supplies there, but you could also bring your own supplies, and you had 2 hours to create something. 0, like just go. Wow. And so I did one of my one-line drawings of my faces, and it was kind of like in a mandala format. And I did it, and there's people walking around. There's other vendors there. It was kind of like a mini market festival. There was a band playing. But yeah, I mean, like my parents were there. I had friends there, other people just kind of showing up, walking by, and people talk to you while you're creating the art. Or you can, like, some people zoned out and put their headphones in, but I like to talk to people. And we just did it. And then they picked the winner at the end, and
wow,
on our merry way. That was it.
So you came away from that thinking, I definitely want to do that again.
I was like, I mean, I was fired. I've been told, there's another thing to unpack, but I've often been told like, wow, you're a lot. Like that's, whoa, like that's a lot. But I was definitely a lot after that, because I was just so energized and excited. And anytime I feel that kind of like fire where I can't go to sleep because I'm so excited from doing something, I'm like, okay, this is information. Like, this is lighting me up. Let's do more of this.
Amazing. And so then you had a baby.
Then I had a baby. Oh my goodness.
2 years old now.
We had, actually, that year was crazy. Yeah, but we had.
Summer was a member throughout the pregnancy. We were all kind of getting these updates, and then I remember when you had the baby and someone came in,
bring her on, like holding her in the lights and stuff.
Like the first baby,
Yeah, so I had her, and I had left teaching to be a stay-at-home mom. I had the opportunity because my husband's insurance and job provided, so I'm like very grateful for that. And I was staying home with her, and for some reason, thought like, oh, I'll be holding my baby and like painting, or like, oh, I'll just put her in the corner and I'll paint. I don't know
why.
We
all think that, yeah.
We all like have this vision that that's what we're doing with our children, and that's not what happened. And so I kept creating art. It was like a nap time before she woke up. And I had sold, and it was such a slow roll, but I was kind of giving myself permission for it to be a slow roll. I struggled with some depression with her. I tried to give myself, because I had my birth wasn't what I had wanted, and I was struggling with some grief from the loss of the birth that I wanted. And so art actually became quite therapeutic during that time. And I got a really positive response from a lot of the things I was creating, but I wasn't as motivated to sell. I just wanted to make and share. And I think that was really beautiful, because it was a time for me to connect with others who were connecting with my art. And it actually gave me a lot of time to build up. And this sounds kind of shallow, but it's just follow me here. But it gave me a lot of time to build up like my social with really quality people who I like and talk to and want to know more about, because now it doesn't, you don't need 50K followers or something to sell. Like, people that I'm selling to now are people that have followed me and been like, oh, I followed your story when this and this happened. And then there's a connection there. So that time, it was about 7 months that was just kind of like low key. I got pregnant again. That was a happy accident. So then I really wasn't getting anything done. So my kids are 16 months apart. So I don't know how deep you want me to go down that rabbit hole, but and then when I ended up leaving the hub, that was when we had a car hit our house. And
oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Oh my gosh.
And that's kind of, well, I mean, if it helps inspire anyone, I'm just going to tell this story because I think it's really helpful. I was pregnant with my son. I was 30 weeks pregnant. And again, I struggled with depression during this entire pregnancy. I was having a very hard time caring for my daughter. I was really sick. Pregnant with my son. And when I was 30 weeks pregnant, my studio's in the front of the house, this space right here. And a car drove into our house at 6:30 p.m. on a Saturday with us at home. And I had been in the studio less than an hour beforehand. And that was very surreal. We live on a straight neighborhood street, it was very, very surreal. And it took about 8 months. We had a hole in our house essentially for months because trying to get contractors and everything. But so basically what happened is I was pregnant. I couldn't move the way I wanted because I had a lot of things going on. So I couldn't move the way I normally wanted to. And like yoga is an outlet for me. My studio was essentially taken away. So I didn't have my space to be able to create. And that was taken away from me. And so I was caught in this spot where I was like, how do I still keep the ball rolling with my baby who's here, and then my baby who's in me, and then also this depression and everything. And so I set up a table in the back and I just sketched in a tiny sketchbook and did tiny paintings and kept going and kept going. And then the studio was remade and it's better than it was before. Like, I have really sweet closets now and stuff. I have really nice overhead lighting. But once the studio was done, I was in that headspace of like, let's go. And since last October, when everything's finished, my business has skyrocketed. So it's been almost a year. And I mean, I went back to teaching for this past school year, and I've now since left because from January to May of this year, I brought in more money than my teaching salary as an artist. Yeah. And I'm
going to say that. Can we give Summer a minute and just say
you can, and like, you can do it. We can do these hard things. And sometimes it takes that like stark contrast of struggle to like come out on the other side. And like, while this isn't the exact disorganization mindset we originally were talking about, it's still one of those like, just shifting like, okay, what is the lesson from this really interesting situation that I've been placed in? How can how can we change it and keep going? And so I am really proud of the fact that I've left teaching, not because I don't like teaching, but because I can still make impact on this side of it. So yeah, that's a long story, but
Isn't it
I am.
amazing though?
Yeah.
Crikey, like a car coming into your house. Oh, yes, that's a lot.
That's a lot. It was a lot of
That's a
information. I
lot.
told you it was a
And
lot.
a car coming into your house does not happen every day. That's one I've never heard before.
No.
But now you've just mentioned it, I remember the story. I do think there's another member as well that had a tree come into their house. I think we've had two crazy incidents, and you've just reminded me.
Yeah.
And that's tough, when it feels like everything. And like you say, you lost your studio space and you lost the ability to do your yoga, which are two hugely important parts of your creative outlet and their stability as well. So that must have been really, really, really tough. And what got you through that? What got you through it? I was going to let you say.
I'm setting up my little table and in like the back and creating art. And I mean, I think a lot of it was just kind of grit getting through too, because again, your mind is different when you're pregnant. So I was just really freaking sad. But so creating art, like shifting that mindset to like, this is what's happening. I don't have the power to make this space happen right now. So I have to work with what I'm given. I have to figure it out. And so I figured it out and I created art, and I enjoyed time with my daughter and ate a lot of cookies. I just figured it out. But the art creation was crucial. And even though I wasn't selling then, because I didn't have the capacity to, like, I had prints and stuff that I could have sold, but everything that had been in my studio was essentially just all over our house, like shoved in corners. So it was like, I'm not going to try and work on selling prints right now or work on creating something to sell right now, because I don't have the mental capacity. I don't even know where everything is. So it was just one of those, like, let's just build, let's just create, let's just express and see what happens. And I mean, a lot of that's informed what I'm doing now, and getting outside of the studio, and doing, like, trying to go and talk to people in the community and whatnot was really helpful. And I think honestly that time that was forced to like not sell gave me the space to think about how I could, kind of bringing it back, like incorporate my strengths. Cause I was like, I thought about like, I do like live painting. How can I get back into that? And so, once October rolled around and I was able to get the kids in childcare like twice a week, I could kind of get my head on straight and start thinking about like, okay, how can I truly, use this strength? So let's connect with some wedding organizers. Let's connect with caterers and people who know brides. Like, okay, so let's get into the wedding community. Let's talk to big companies for events. And I think it was just a really slow roll of mental shift.
Yeah. So when you kind of stopped selling and you were just creating, and am I right in thinking that was the time that you started to just share your work and you were growing that community of connections as well when you were in that space? Or was that it was tied up?
Well, and when I was pregnant with my daughter, it was just kind of like posting every day of like what I was doing and stuff.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm glad you shared that, because sometimes artists get so I'm just trying to think of how to articulate this. When we're kind of like pulling things together and we're sharing and it feels like nothing's happening. But you're having the conversations and things are building up, but people don't realize
you're building,
you're doing it. That's it.
Well, and this is probably key, and I forgot this, but I'm looking, I have my notebook here. I think I just like took it out because it felt right. But like, this is the sketchbook that I used when I was in that space, in that back room. And there are several pictures in here that I posted that turned into a commission. So my first commission, kind of not ever, but first like one as me being like a real artist selling, happened late last year. And she was like, I just want you to create something that's like that picture that you posted on Instagram. And it was like just a little sketchbook picture. And she's like, oh, but I really like it. So can you make, and it was a big painting. I mean, it was a big painting. And she was like, can you just kind of make that, but add a mermaid or something? And that's a date is my favorite commission that I've done when that was like, yeah. And that was from posting just random sketchbook pictures. And it's like, I know a lot of people I know that I'm more extroverted and maybe more confident from the get-go, because I was blessed with parents who really encouraged me to share my work. And I'm so grateful for that. But I will say there are times when, I just need to play like worst case scenario in my head. Worst case scenario, someone makes a rude comment or someone says it's not good. And you guys were talking about this earlier. I think it was with Simone or Carol, like, if you don't have the haters, then you don't have enough followers. So I'm like waiting for my hater comment right now. But I think about this too. Like, have I ever looked at a piece of artwork and been like, I don't like that? Yeah. So I'm entitled to my subjective opinion. Someone else is too. I mean, I'm not going to go around saying that to the artist, but it's like people are entitled to their opinion. Someone's not going to like your work. So the worst case scenario already exists. Just post it because someone is going to like it. And that someone might get a commission from you. And that commission might spark someone else to get a commission. And that might spark, like, just everything is a snowball. So you just got to like go for it.
Yeah. It is so true that, like you say, they're out there. The people that don't like your work, they're out there. And they might find you and tell you, and that's fine.
And they need some
That's
mindset.
how I had to get. I had to
they need some mindset help.
Yeah, because I know that there'll be people that won't like this book and they're going to leave me a negative review. It's going to happen. It happens on every single book profile ever. And you have to just think they're out there and they're probably going to find me, but it's not for them. And they're entitled to their opinion, like I say.
And they're wrong, but okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they're obviously wrong because the book's amazing. But so I love this. So I kind of just now I'd like to get into more of the detail, if you don't mind, just about the kind of work that you have been creating in the last year. So when you started to share, you kind of went through that phase of no pressure and just creating and building those connections, which is what this is all about. Find your voice, find your purpose, find your people. Especially like you've just described, and this is what we talk about in the book, is about building those relationships, because it's so key. And like I was saying, we sometimes want instant gratification of, I've put this out there, why is it not sold? And a lot of the time this is the long game. And it's like someone's just said, someone saw this and then it came later. And it's this dance. And what were so you're doing a lot of live painting now. So how did that come back into your life? So you were doing these kind of like commissions and still doing the one line drawings, and then at what point did you said that you started to reach out, that was it, to weddings? And so did you start to just think, okay, assess everything here, when it was time to kind of make that leap into, right, I'm ready to put this out in the world properly now? What was happening there?
So once I think, well, I'll just start by saying, like, fall is always kind of like a kickoff for me. That's when school starts. That's like my get into high gear mode. So it was last fall. I had my studio. I was like, right, I'm going to like start going. And at that point, I kept seeing on Instagram and TikTok these like live wedding painters, because I didn't even know this was a thing. We don't really have this around where I'm at. And so I was like, wow, I love the live paintings that I've done before. Because before last fall, I had done several live events just painting a canvas or painting a mural on a wall. And I love painting big. That's really fun for me. And I love having an audience. But I was like, how can I turn this into something that's going to be able to be monetized? Because those aren't necessarily really well paying. Those are more exposure. So again, that was me just kind of asking that question into the universe. And then I start seeing all these live wedding painters pop up. And I was like, I would be really good at this, because I like people. I like being put on the spot. Like, what can I do? And so I started sketching in my studio, like examples of watercolor portraits. I can show you an example actually. And started posting them, and they weren't, hold on. Sorry. So like, this is my husband. Bless him. So
Oh,
just like really quick, and they're in
yeah,
specs, but like really quick
love them.
drawings. And
Yeah,
so I didn't go to any events. I just started doing them in my studio and posting them and saying,
yeah.
hey, I do live wedding paintings. Like, hey, I do this, like hire me. And literally zero clue what I was doing, but I would, you put it out there and then figure it out afterwards. Or, I mean, you might as well.
I think a lot of our guests have been saying that you got your, so I can't remember how many people have said that this week, but there's been a lot already said that, I was asked this and then I said yes, and then I went and figured out how to do it, or the other way around.
Yeah. Was it Sue about the pet portraits? That resonated heavily because I did the same thing in January. I was like, I do pet portraits, and I had done like one pet portrait, and I was like, I do them, and that I'll tell you that in a second. But the wedding thing's a super bougie like rental place contacted me and said, we have a holiday party with all of these wedding people, like, would you like to paint for our party? And I was like, sure. And honestly, that was the launching pad. I went and I painted, and it was caterers, florists, like linen rental places, wedding planners, and like the dress owners, or dress shop owners. And that launched me into the wedding world. And so I've done, I don't know how many weddings now. I have 15 booked for this year. I have 5 booked for, I have 5 booked for next year. Wedding industry has a lot of money in it. So, but it's fun. I get to show up. I hire an assistant to come with me. It's so stinking fun. And I either paint on a canvas, the couple, or I paint the guests, like those little ones I showed you. And yeah, it's a good time. So that just kind of kicked off, and it's been essentially me posting on Instagram and then people at the wedding saying this is cool and then contacting me later. So it's been a lot of just referral from putting myself out there.
Like, and I always say this, that you can be one opportunity away, and that event, going to that event that day was that opportunity that's just made everything explode for you, and you just never know.
Yeah.
Wow, congratulations. I know there's probably a lot of people here that are new, but there's a lot of people here I can see.
I know, I see names on the side. I'm like,
you remember Summer. And so it's just really, really beautiful that we have Summer back and we're getting this update. This is why I love our community. Like, Summer's not a member anymore, but we still love her. We still love all of you that have been and gone. And it's just so nice. It's so nice to hear what you've been up to, and that you're flourishing, and that you're a full-time artist who's given up the day job. What a feeling. How does that feel if you're saying that out loud?
It was pretty cool walking out of school that last day being like, to
go off and be an artist
in the air and stuff, like, yes. It's a very cool feeling. And and you think about it too, like being an entrepreneur, and I have to remind myself this because I do like to work a lot. I do like to focus, but I am in control of my business. I have mornings, but I didn't get to see my kids in the morning because this past year, because I taught high school, and that's like starts at 7 a.m. So like I would leave before they woke up. So I didn't get to see my kids in the morning. Now I get to see my kids in the morning. There's so much that I can reclaim back as an artist. I just get to be my full self. And it's just really cool to have come this far. And I have to say this as well, Michelle, United Art Space was the launching pad for this. Like, had I not done the best year yet that one time, or like had someone not, everything is so synchronicity. Like I did that, and then I came into the program. I did that mindset shift to be able to figure out, honestly, like years before I started the full-blown live painting business, that, I mean, it's just so cool to see how it's been almost 5 years now, but you guys were the launching pad of this whole thing. You know what I mean? Like, so thank you. And I mean, everyone just, It's just exciting. And I'm seeing all these, I'm seeing Nish, I'm seeing like Diane, I'm seeing everyone in here, and I do miss everyone. It's just
so amazing for us to hear, because we remember you coming in with the struggles and coming in with the wins. And I remember you actually, now you've recited that story of the live painting, I'm sure I remember you coming in saying, I found this opportunity. And so, like you say, all of these beautiful dots of your life, and how now they're starting to connect, and they brought you to this place of being a full-time artist and doing this live painting, and it's really lovely to share, and I thank you, because what's really interesting is hearing the story and the dots, and then this happened, and then this happened, and if I hadn't failed here, and if this hadn't have gone wrong, and then because this went right, and it is all of these sequences and of events that have led you here. And also this concept of finding your voice, and which Summer has now like taken parts, it's that reflection. You've been reflecting as you go, and having that time out just to make purely for you, and how important that was in
important. Yeah. I can't express how important that was to me then.
And I know a few people that have done that, actually. Sabina, who felt really lost, and didn't feel like she had a voice, and took, I remember, I think she took 12 months out of just making art for herself and exploring, and now has a vast collection, and has exhibitions, and she's selling, and there was that moment of just stepping back and just doing this for me. Like, I'm not selling it, I'm just doing it for me. And I think that's important to share, because sometimes there's a lot of pressure on people, either from themselves or externally, that if you're an artist and you're selling, then come on, prove it, if you can sell, and you should be selling full time, and you should be selling all the time. And if you've got moments of not selling, then are you really an artist? And these are the questions that we can pose to ourselves. But other people they do doubt artists, and they do question it. I had a friend the other week say to somebody, I'm an artist, and they said, oh, so do you sell all the time? Like, are you selling every month? They were like quizzing her on like the detail, and I thought, on one side, they just probably just don't have a clue, because they don't know,
I would say just educate them on, because most people have no idea
they just don't, do they? But then on the flip side, it can be really intimidating when you're faced with those questions. It can make you start to question because they're questioning, like, am I valid? Oh my gosh. And what I love about this whole process is that you can duck in, and you can dive out in, you can sell consistently. You don't have to sell consistently. Like, as soon as you realize that you can do this on your own terms, and I know that sounds kind of flippant, because people might be sitting here saying, yeah, but there's money worries, and there's responsibilities, and I can't just do whatever I want to do. I think that, and Summer is a great example of this, that if you set your sights, though, on what it is that you want, in time it will unravel, and you will get there. And Summer had this dream 5 years ago, and then had all of these challenges and obstacles and babies.
It's weird when, like, it's been kind of therapeutic, kind of like laying this out with you, because I'm like, oh my God, like, it has been a slow roll, but like, that's okay, because there really was a lot of stuff that happened. Like, you don't think about it in the moment, but I'm like, oh my God, that was a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff. And then, even as a creative person too, there's the whole part of that self-discovery, and playing with your artwork, and figuring out what your voice is, and where you're going with this, and what so there's that part of it all, as well as all the external things going on. And so well, it's just, it's a real nice reminder that sometimes what we want is coming, and when you're going through the motions, and you feel that you're posting but you're not getting anywhere, or and you feel like you're not moving, you likely are moving. And that's what we've heard this week, actually, from a lot of our speakers, is that that things happened over time, and it was just taking those steps and sometimes pausing and then taking the step again, and things have materialized and happened. And as long as you hold on to it and you keep moving forwards, you'll get there, or get wherever you're meant to be. Sometimes you have that flag in the ground and you're heading somewhere, and that's not the destination. Someone else said this, I can't remember who said that. Somebody was saying about the show. Who was it? Oh, it was Sonia yesterday. Said I had I was desperate to get into this show and got in, and then realized it wasn't about getting into the show. It was about creating this work, and she needed that just to get her to create this work, and then it was about that. And I just love it. I love this. Is the more you can trust the process, and things work out. I'm going to just check the chat actually. If anyone has any questions, let me know. There's lots of talk about the weather. Apparently it's very hot in Trinidad and quite hot in Croatia, but not as hot as Trinidad. Always on my live sessions, I don't know if this happens to anybody else, we always have some weather chat.
It brings us together. It's like common. Yeah.
Diane,
I gotta shout out to Diane. We talk like daily. I love
your friend Diane is in the house. Yay. Okay. So lots of people tuning in again. Hello, it's lovely. And Carol says it's so nice to see you. Janine is back because you were with your grandson earlier, and just want to say hi, Summer. I followed you since we were in accountability group.
Pastels. Yeah.
Falling as if you tripped. I like that. A hot mess for you, Summer, may work very prettily for you. Yes. Oh, Nicola says, Summer, so much of this resonates with me. The idea of disorganized can be hurtful. Yeah. Yes. How many people here feel disorganized? Because I'm told all the time that you're so organized. I really am not, or I don't feel it. And I think, like you, I grew up in a very tidy household. Like, when I look back now, I think my mum and dad, I actually remember, I'm just remembering back, I was embarrassed to bring friends around to my house because it was so tidy. And I remember once friends saying, we're going to come back. And I was like, just wait there a minute. And I literally ran into the house and pulled out some things and cushions and just chucked them around before they came in.
This is what it normally looks like, I swear. So funny.
And my mum was like, if you put something down, 10 minutes later, it's gone. She'd put it away. Yeah. She was obsessive about tidying, and I was the opposite. And my sister is tidy. My dad is tidy. I'm the only one who's messy. And my sister and I used to share a room, and it was messy, and we used to blame each other. So they separated us and put us in our own room. And it was very evident because my room was
right. You couldn't see the floor in my room, but I knew
that was me
for the most part.
It was like my room had been burgled. It was like someone had just gone in and it was me looking for things. And my sister's room was kind of like pristine, and if you touch something, she would know anyway. So that stuck with me, actually, that kind of then feeling inadequate, I think, around and I still have those feelings now because I'm so messy still.
Like, why can't I do this?
Yeah, why can't I just put things back in their home?
Do this so easily when I ended up at age, so I'm 37 now. I got diagnosed with ADHD when I was 31. Thank God. And it was like, it just, what a validating, I guess not everyone would feel this way, but for me, I was like, now I have like not like a crutch, but it just was like, okay, I'm like, and at least it gave my parents a reason or something. I don't know if I can fully articulate that all the way, but it was a sigh of relief when I was able to be like, okay, my brain works different. I can do things differently. That is also okay.
Yeah. I love that. Simone says, you're amazing. I'm so happy to own your work. Oh.
He does. That's one of my works.
Morag says, I've always drawn and enjoyed it, but at school, one of my art teachers said to me, that's a good drawing, but don't spoil it with colour. I have always had a thing about colour ever since and still don't feel I handle it very well. Despite my present art tutor at college telling me I have a great sense of colour, it looks like I still have quite a lot of mindset work to do. Wow, that's interesting that you pulled that more out of this session, Morag. That's brilliant. Yeah, isn't it interesting that there's still that part? And I was talking about this earlier with Carol, when we think we're over things, don't we? We think that, I've got it together now. And then someone will say something and it still hurts. And it's because of,
No one is immune. There is no immunity for mindset shift. There is always something else that can be tweaked.
There is. But that's so fascinating, Morag. And I mean, still with the stories that I've shared in the book, they still haunt me now, those stories. I think they always will. And it's just kind of navigating life now, knowing that it's there. Let me just see. Oh, look, so many of you. So much love for you. I've loved following your journey. You're so inspiring. All those preconceived ideas of what life with kids would be.
Oh, I know. Oh my God.
I had the same thoughts of just the baby in the carrier and I'm going to be painting. And
no, yeah, that didn't happen.
Yeah. Oh, yes. So Michelle says, yes, I hear you. Some of my kids are 20 months apart. Yeah, it's intense. Oh my God, I remember seeing the photo of your house when that car crashed into your house. You will are and still are so brave. Yeah. Yes, we can do the hard things. We can. We are doing them. Lots of love for you. What an amazing journey. Hi, Hayley. Good to see you here. Bringing truth to the shattered bricks of your studio. Yeah. I mean, that's hard to comprehend. I don't know how I would have coped with that. Tell us about the charity event where you raised a crazy amount of money. Tell us about that, please.
Simone, there were two actually, but and actually this is really good for anyone who's interested in live painting. I know some people can be scared about it, but offering a lot of charities have galas and you can go to the gala and paint something live and then auction it off. Or they'll auction it off at the end. And it's a great way for you to get your name out there, talk with people. But anyway, so there was one for our Children's Hospital of the King's Daughters. It's a big hospital for kids. They do a lot of research. And I went there and I did one of my one-line drawings. And I arrived and I'm not a shy person, but when I arrived, they had a stage made up for me to be on for this 200 person gala. Everyone's sitting eating dinner and I'm up here on stage and I'm like, oh my God. God, I didn't have panty lines or anything because I'm behind, everyone's looking at me from behind. I was like, what is happening? So this was last year. And so I just got in the groove and people came up and talked to me and stuff and they put it up for auction at the end. And people are raising their paddles and it's 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. And I'm just sitting there
oh my God.
and I'm now thinking about it because it's for my kids go to this hospital. My daughter had surgery there when she was only 8 months. It was, I was like, this is really cool that I'm not only getting to share, and the focus of this gala was mental health, which is also something that's really important to me for various reasons that I won't get into, but I raised $8,000 for this painting that I did. And this, so that was really, really cool to be able to be a part of something like that. So it's not just about doing live paintings and making money and whatnot. It was I can be part of something bigger to make change. That $8,000 is going to go towards the new mental health care facility for minors. And I have goosebumps, how amazing is that? And then there was another painting that I did that ended up selling. I don't know, Simone, if you're talking about this one, but this was another painting that I did for a homeless shelter for families. And their gala is really, really big. And my painting was supposed to go up for auction during the auction, but it sold beforehand because someone wanted it, and it sold for $17,000.
Oh my gosh.
They called me and he was like, I'm really sorry, but your painting's not going to go up for auction. And I was like, oh, okay, fine. And he was like, it sold for $17,000. And I like, what? Yeah. So,
oh my gosh.
So yeah, things are really, yeah. So you can do whatever, you can do cool things and make big changes, and it doesn't have to be greedy or selfish. You can just do things that bring you joy, and it will like expand out and ripple effect. Yeah, those were really cool. Those are both really cool.
Isn't this just so inspiring? I just want to kind of like recap and just step back that Summer 5 years ago was lost, didn't have a clue how to make money from art, just didn't know what, didn't know what you were doing, didn't even know you had blocks, and you've made this happen. You've designed your life, and it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Julie says, yes, what a story, strong illustration of the power of make art anyway, which could also be expressed as make your art any way you can. Hope says, let's cheer each other on. I'm in New York. Yeah. Absolutely, Hope. I'm sending you all the cheers. Yes. Let me just see. Nisha's got his first wedding gig in October, so he's following your footsteps.
Nish, yes. Message me. That's so exciting.
Yeah, he's doing a live painting too at a wedding, so that's amazing. Summer story is a dream mindset becoming her reality. Yes. Diane says, Summer, you are such an inspiration to me. If you can do this while raising 2 babies, oh yes. No one else has an excuse. You are on fire, and you are fueling my fire too. So glad we have each other to boost each other up. And again, the power of friends and people. Mm-hmm. This is why I just bang on about it. This book about the importance of people. Like, I mean, we've heard it here where you made those connections on social media. You were part of our community. You were, just reaching out then to that event, and then being connected to the little village. And you're in that circle now, aren't you? And you've made those connections. But with Diane, the importance of building the people around you is so important. Mm-hmm. So it's everything.
Just share, and really just sharing your why. Like, you guys go, like, developing your why is so important, and being able to share that with other people. People want to know. Right now, the art community, like, people worry about it being saturated, but it's like, it's why let's have all the people creating art, because we're no longer just buying art. You're buying part of the person and part of the experiences you're sharing with them. So it's like, if you don't have to spill your entire life on social media or something like that, but being vulnerable and opening up is really a great way to connect with other people, to do whatever you want. Like, just being vulnerable is so helpful.
Yeah, that's so true. It's so true. People, and especially more than ever now with AI and the volume of people sharing messages, it's just that vulnerability and that honesty and rawness is what people connect with. Brian, so good to see you, Brian. I've been thinking about you recently. Summer has reminded me to never give up. Keep at it. Would love to know how she secures the wedding commissions.
You can, or I can answer that now, where I was like, or people can message me. I will answer anyone's questions. How I secure them. I mean, I do a contract. I don't know. I have people reach out to me either on Instagram or my website, or email me, and then I run them through my price list and options, and then we do a contract and deposit, and then that's it. But if anyone has questions, they're welcome to message me. I love art friends. So
that's really kind. And I think a step before that is you've built the connections through going to that art fair was the main thing, wasn't it? And you've got to know people in the industry, and so you've built that up now.
Mm-hmm. And then referrals are now like huge. What
are they? Yeah. Amazing. A lot of people here saying, I'm very, very messy. Lisa though says the opposite. I wish I was more disorganized. I'm very organized. It can feel too controlling. Well, that's what my mum was like. Yeah, lots of people here saying, I'm sure I've got ADHD. Nish got diagnosed with autism. Yeah, never too late. Age 59 and now I'm 60. And you know, and your confidence is soaring and it's amazing, Nish. And then, yeah, Susie says, I remember Summer being pregnant and doing her amazing wall hanging. Yes. Oh, yes. The
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I did. I dabbled in fiber arts for a second.
I forgot about that. All these memories are flooding back. Yes, I remember that too. I remember it vividly, actually. It was like a cream color, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's at my parents' house now.
Yeah.
Fiber arts are fun. Do all the things. Yeah, do all the things. It's fun.
Oh, Simone here, I'm crying. Oh, I love it. We've got such a beautiful community. Yeah, what an amazing story about the charity. I know. Okay, that's it. I'd love to be an art friend with you, Summer. Yeah.
My art friends, guys, follow me, talk to me. I love.
Yes, where can people follow you? Yeah, Summer, tell us, where can people follow you on social media?
Yeah, so my name's Summer Paradiso. On Instagram is at Summer and then little underscore Paradiso underscore. And my website is summerparadiso.com. Pretty much if you search my name, you'll probably find me because I think it's just me. I think I'm just one
Summer Paradiso. Yeah. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's why you're getting so many referrals. They're just finding you so easily.
Well, it is helpful. My husband gave me the last name, so I'm thankful for that. But yeah. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone that's tuned in live. Summer, thank you. It was just so nice to reconnect with you after all this time. We haven't spoken in such a long time. And thank you for inspiring me with your story. I've never forgotten it. And it was really helpful to kind of articulate that inside the book. So thank you for letting me share that in the book too. And thank you. And I'm just so stinking proud of you. And I'm wishing you all the best going forwards. Please keep in touch. I'm sure we'll be back again doing a session again, I'm sure. And yeah, thank you, everyone.
Helping me kick the snowball down the hill because that was you. Thank
you. We love you. Take care. Bye. 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 So